I don't know if you watched the show Hacks, but I think season 4 is out. I'm still catching up on season 3, and it stars Jean Smart, who is phenomenal. She has been for a very long time, but she continues to be phenomenal. Anyway, she plays a stand-up comedian whose career kind of gets a boost. And at the end of season 2, I believe she does a special, and it's enormously successful. So when season 3 starts, she's still riding that wave because the special is getting a lot of play. Her career is in the stratosphere. And she decides, because she's a real pro who actually is good at her job, to work on some new material. So she asked some friends if she could just workshop some stuff in some small comedy venues. She walks on stage, she introduces herself, and the audience bursts out laughing. She's like, I literally just said my name, and they laugh more. She doesn't even get to tell a joke. Every time she says the most mundane thing, the audience goes wild. And she just gives up. She's like, there's no point in trying because everybody is just giving me the benefit of the doubt here. And they know I'm funny and they think everything I say is going to be funny. But then it spreads to other parts of her life. She has to do an event. I think it's an awards show. She needs to pick out an outfit. And she's realizing that the staff she has surrounding her to help her look her best is not giving her any constructive criticism. They're just agreeing with everything she chooses. So she picks out one of the ugliest dresses she can find. And she has a lot of dresses. Her dresses are stored in an airplane hangar. And everybody, like at first, to some people look horrified, but in very short order, they become yes men. And they tell her that is the most amazing dress and only she could pull it off because she's so great. She kind of gets sick of it. She wants somebody to tell her the truth. She wants somebody to give her feedback and pushback. Why? Because as I said, she's a professional. She wants to get better. She wants to look good. Then we have Donald Trump, who actually thinks that without ever having accomplished anything in his life, without ever having made any effort whatsoever, he thinks he's great. And here's the thing. There are people in this world, in this country, who agree with him. So I don't know if you saw it today, but he gave some weird press conference. It was a so-called bill signing. And it was yet another instance in which we could watch Donald Trump's brain bleed out of his ears. He was saying the most outrageous things. He was lying through his teeth. He was saying things that were utterly incomprehensible. He opened a new front in his war on windmills. And people in that room applauded him. They laughed with him. And he probably left there thinking like he had knocked it out of the park. Obviously, these are two very different scenarios. In the second one, we have an actual human being with massive amounts of power being allowed to do whatever he wants, say whatever he wants, because a significant minority of people in this country, for reasons I continue not to understand, think he's amazing. Okay, so what do we do with that information? Well, we understand that people like that, people who actually are able to be convinced that wind energy is bad, windmills are coming to kill you, and nuclear energy and coal are infinitely superior and cheaper and cleaner sources of energy. We cannot waste our time on such people. We need to focus on our attention to people who are starting to wake up to the threats we're facing and who are willing to stand up and fight back. Let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Mary Trump Live. It is wonderful to have you here with me. Yeah, things are really ramping up in an absolutely shocking assault on free speech. California Senator Alex Padilla was forcibly manhandled, basically attacked and detained simply for stating that he wanted to ask Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, puppy murderer, a question during her California press conference. You know, those things that are designed for people to ask questions. Take a look at this actually shocking scene.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed for doing their duty, how they have been targeted.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
If you let my hands go, I put behind my back.
All right. Cool. One hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
There's no recording allowed out here.
I do not know.
There's no recording allowed out here per FBI, right?
No recording allowed. I wonder if they had their body cams going. So this is America now. This is an America in which asking a simple question, or trying to anyway, gets that kind of response. This is the Trump regime at work. Don't ask your questions. No, especially if they're going to bother the person who's supposed to be answering them. Because if you do, you're going to get violently detained, whether or not you're a United States senator. I think the worst part is that Senator Padilla didn't even ask a question. He was trying to let them know that he wanted to ask a question. Even crazier, Padilla wasn't even there for Noem's press conference in the first place. A release by his office said that he was in the building to receive a briefing with General Guyot and happened to listen in on Noem's press conference. Afterward, Padilla spoke outside the FBI building, visibly shaken by the physical attack on him. And let's get this clear at the very outset. It was an attack on him that was totally unprovoked. Take a look at Fox's coverage.
Here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guyot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information. And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed. I was not arrested. I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community and throughout California and throughout the country. We will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say. We'll have more to say in the coming days.
This must have been absolutely terrifying for Senator Padilla, but he's right. It must be so much worse for those immigrants and undocumented workers who do not have staff to protect them, who do not have people there to take video of their ordeals, who do not have the power of the position that Senator Padilla holds. I'm going to disagree with him on one thing. He says he wasn't detained. I personally think that being put in handcuffs is a form of detainment. He, I don't know how long he was in handcuffs, but for a brief period of time, his ability to move freely was taken away from him. Then we have puppy murderer Kristi Noem going on air this afternoon to claim that Senator Padilla did not identify himself and they considered him an attacker. Take a look at her interview on Fox.
Well, he was never arrested. And he, nobody knew who he was when he came into the room creating a scene. He was removed from the room, and yes, they started to put handcuffs on him when he finally identified himself, and then that was stopped. They said he wants to talk to you. I said, sure, I'd love to sit down and visit.
I know it's not that important, but that little Nazi really needs to stop dressing up like she's some agent of the state. She was, of course, lying. We heard we saw the video. We heard what Senator Padilla said. He clearly identifies himself at the start. Quote, "I'm Senator Alex Padilla," unquote. We've been getting to a darker and darker place in this country for quite some time now. Obviously, I would count that back from November 2016. But since January 20th of this year, the rapidity with which America has been sliding down that slippery slope is a little unnerving. And the last week alone has made it clear that we are not turning this around anytime soon. Donald and his regime are making it apparent to anybody who's paying attention that whether they're allowed to or not, whether it's constitutional or not, whether it's legal or not, they will detain, manhandle, and arrest anybody who has the audacity to question them, try to get in their way, or protest them. Basically, they are encroaching upon our First Amendment rights to free speech and to assemble, to protest peacefully. This, basically, is what authoritarianism looks like when the party in power starts arresting the opposition. Please just quickly take a second to like and share our videos and subscribe to our channel on YouTube, or rate and follow the podcast. So a handful of Democratic governors, including Pritzker, Walz, and Hochul, were called to Washington, D.C. today to testify before Congress on their state's compliance with ICE and Donald's immigration laws. Luckily, Governor Pritzker of Illinois once again came prepared. He seems at this point to be the governor most likely to be prepared for the fight we find ourselves in. Just want you to take a look at his opening statement, in which he made it clear to Republicans he was not going to play into their false narrative that they keep perpetuating about sanctuary cities.
Violent criminals have no place on our streets, and if they are undocumented, I want them out of Illinois and out of our country. And as we are reminded in Los Angeles this week, we can all agree that violence of any kind, whomever it is directed at, is unacceptable. People must be held accountable to the law.
Yes, if only Donald Trump had been. Pritzker, as he is wont to do, lays it out very succinctly. Of course, we don't want criminals roaming free in our streets. Nobody does. But that is not what's happening. The Trump regime is not going after criminals as they said they would. They continue to break the law. They are the ones who are not following the rule of law. They are the ones illegally kidnapping people off of the streets, outside of courthouses. Many of the people who are being illegally detained have been following immigration laws, have been doing everything that the United States has required of them. And deploying the National Guard against the governor's wishes, that is unconstitutional. Let's look at how Governor Pritzker lays it out.
Illinois follows the law, but let me be clear. We expect the federal government to follow the law, too. We will not participate in abuses of power. We will not violate court orders. We will not ignore the Constitution. We will not defy the Supreme Court. We will not take away people's rights to peacefully protest. We also respect and expect this administration to respect the traditions and legal precedent that dictate how and when our National Guard and military are deployed. It's wrong to deploy the National Guard and active duty Marines into an American city over the objection of local law enforcement just to inflame a situation and create a crisis.
Everything there Governor Pritzker said there is accurate, but it puts us in a bit of a bind, doesn't it? Because we, those of us on the right side of this, will obey the law. We will follow the Constitution. We will follow judicial orders. Nobody in the Trump regime will. And again, this is what happens when you put a lawless person in the Oval Office. And to make things worse and more complicated, the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court makes him, that guy convicted of 34 felonies, that man who was found to be a rapist, the man who incited an insurrection and stole classified government documents. How do you rein him in exactly? Especially since it's very clear to him, as it is to the rest of us, that he will never face accountability for anything he does, even if the things he is doing now will be so much worse than the things he's already gotten away with. If Donald and his thugs want to break the law, which they do and they will, Governor Pritzker had one last thing to say directly to them.
I have the highest duty to protect the people of my state. And indeed, if Tom Homan were to come to try to arrest us, I can say, first of all, that he can try. I can also tell you that I will stand in the way of Tom Homan going after people who don't deserve to be frightened in their communities, who don't deserve to be threatened, terrorized. I would rather that he came and arrested me than do that to the people of my state.
We know that we know that using Donald's own tactics against him often goes further than anything else. Threatening him and his minions might just be the way to go here, because they are cowards. People like Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, they are abject cowards. They do not know how to withstand the kind of pushback Governor Pritzker is talking about. Governor Pritzker reminds us why it is so important that we have leaders who can communicate to the American people in such a clear, strong way, who can explain exactly why everything Donald Trump is doing right now is wrong. I am extraordinarily grateful that we have governors like Pritzker. And, I have some issues with Gavin Newsom, but at the moment, he is doing exactly what he needs to be doing against the Trump regime's incursions into his state's sovereignty, right? So we need more of it, though. I think I've been saying since the election, and I've certainly talked about this with the Nerd Avengers, if we are going to withstand the Trump regime, if we are going to get through this, it is governors in blue states who are going to serve as a firewall against encroaching fascism. And every time Governor Pritzker opens his mouth, he demonstrates that this is true. Democrats were not the only ones being grilled on the Hill today. In sort of diametrically opposite to him, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth faced more questions from the House Armed Services Committee, finding himself in some trouble, which I know goes without saying. He was asked a myriad of questions from lawmakers from about issues from Greenland to court orders. But when given the chance by GOP Senator Mike Turner to answer an easy question and score some easy points, Hegseth refused to deny that there are military plans to invade Greenland. Take a look at this video from today's questioning.
Lawyer here, I just want to help you out because people try to twist your words. You are not confirming in your testimony today that at the Pentagon there are plans for invading or taking by force Greenland, correct? That is not your testimony today.
All my testimony is that the Pentagon has plans for any number of contingencies.
It is not your testimony today that there are plans at the Pentagon for taking by force or invading Greenland, correct? Because I'm sure as hell hope that it is not your testimony.
We look forward to working with Greenland to ensure that it is secured from any potential threats.
Excellent. I yield back.
That's not a very good answer. The answer is no, of course we're not. We have no plans to attack Greenland. I mean, maybe we need plans to protect Greenland from us. Listen, nobody. Well, that's probably not true. Donald can give him a run for his money, but very few people can fuck up as consistently and constantly as Pete Hegseth. That was the most easy softball question I'd ever heard in my life, and he whiffed it. It's kind of impressive, right? It's impressive. I mean, that was, I'm sorry to mix my sport metaphors, but that was like a layup with nobody blocking him. Look at me go with the sports metaphors. Anyway, baseball, basketball. If I could come up with a tennis analogy, I would, but I will spare you. So yeah, once again, Hegseth refused to answer a basic question that the answer to which should have been no. Do you have plans to attack illegally a sovereign nation? No, he couldn't do it. Take a look at his response to California Congressman Ro Khanna when he was asked if he defied court orders barring the use of Marines in California.
Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But silly enough to warrant a
Constitution.
very straightforward answer. Yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know what?
We're proud to
I'm not going to waste
Trump.
my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Okay, that was Representative Salud Carbajal also from California, who essentially made it clear how disrespectful and worthless Pete Hegseth is. But now I want to play the clip from California Representative Ro Khanna.
Here's where I hope we can agree. Whatever the federal district court decides, will you abide by it?
Well, this is a pending situation.
So will you agree, though, that it's not my legal view, it's not your legal view that makes the decision in America. It's the federal judiciary. If the federal court in California and the San Francisco district judge has orders a preliminary injunction, will you agree to abide by the federal courts?
What I will tell you is my job right now is to ensure the troops that we have in Los Angeles are capable of supporting law enforcement in there.
Sir, I agree with that, but will you?
And we know
can
we
you
have the
just assure,
constitutional and statutory authority.
That's fine, but can
to
you
do that.
Can you just assure us that you'll abide by the decisions of the courts. Can you assure the American people on two things? You will respect any Supreme Court decision on this matter about whether the Marines are constitutional, and you will respect the district courts when they rule before the Supreme Court rules.
What I can say is we should not have local judges determining foreign policy or national security policy for the country.
So you're not willing to say you would respect those decisions?
What I'm saying is local district judges shouldn't make foreign policy for the United States.
Gentleman's time's expired.
That's where we are. That's where we are. And that is stunning. But it should not surprise us, because this has been going on since day one of the Trump regime, essentially. They are failing time and time again to respond to judges' requests or to follow judicial orders. Why should we be surprised that somebody as sycophantic, incompetent, and quite frankly, fascistic as Pete Hegseth would stand up against the Trump regime's policies? No, he's all in. They are all in on Donald's agenda and the agenda of the fascist Republican Party to turn America into a police state in which there are no balances of power, where the courts will be openly defied or turned into kangaroo courts. This is straight up authoritarianism, and we need people like Representative Khanna, Representative Carbajal, and Representative Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jamie Raskin, etc., to continue to press against their unconstitutional, illegal, and quite frankly, un-American actions. We need to stand up to them and show them that we are not going to allow them to turn America into their version of a fascist authoritarian state. It's up to us. It's up to us. And it's also up to us to make sure that we have leaders like Governor Pritzker, who have the guts and, quite frankly, the communication skills to get us where we need to be. All right. It's time for today's emotional support moment. Take a breath and let's be calm. Take a look. I swear, I mean, you guys probably know this by now, but that's like one of my favorite things. So thank you, team. I so appreciate that. I could watch and listen to that all day. Like if I can't actually be at the beach, which is what I would prefer, I could listen to that all day long. So thank you. I hope that helped you guys as much as it helped me. Yeah, it's just like such a reset, right? Just helps you breathe. Okay. Let's get your questions and comments and other things. All right. Oh, sorry. Greg, thank you so much. Question. General John Kane testified that Donald has been hallucinating invasions and attacks since at least 2016. You know if that's true? That's terrifying. Well, I mean, I don't know if that specifically is true, but would it surprise me again, if you took a look at, we made a video about Donald's, what was it, a bill, so-called bill signing. It's not what it was. He was signing some congressional resolution act that actually doesn't have any legal authority, but you know, he made a big deal about it. If you saw his rambling, incoherent, unrelated, irrelevant remarks, you know, you would understand that this is a man who, like, I'm beginning to think he's not oriented to time and place anymore. So, and he has a very dark psyche. He's a nihilist and he's very paranoid. So no, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he were, if he painted a much darker vision of the world than there already is. But I think that's pretty obvious. Mida Cheryl, as always, thank you again. Like, you're on a roll here. Another gifted membership to Mary Trump Media. That's fantastic. Thank you. And Mida Cheryl, what's this for? Oh, well, thank you for the have to leave early for a lesson fee. That's a new fee. I think I want to compile a list of all of our different fees, which, by the way, for those of you who aren't aware, are fictional. We do not charge people fees, but we like getting them because they're fun, and very often clever and creative. Where's your aloha? Thank you so very much for that. Big aloha from Volcano. Hawaii is one of my favorite places in the world, so that's awesome. Thank you. Regina, thank you as always. Comment. Funniest thing this week is Rand Paul getting uninvited to Donald's birthday party for saying a military parade is bad optics. And that also fits right in with his saying at this thing today that he's not a king. No, but it's even better than that. And again, I urge you to check out the video because I mean, it's alarming, but some of it's actually really funny. He's asked if he's asked about No King's Day, and he literally says, as direct a quote as I can remember, "We are not a king." He used a royal we to deny being a king. You cannot write this stuff. I'm telling you. Nobody would believe us. Marianne, Dewey 3, thank you so very much. From Sydney, I love Sydney also. Mary, love the way you described Donald at the start. Reminded me of the Emperor's New Clothes. Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, I think it's always been true to some degree, and now there is not a thread in the house anymore. Quite something that other people are willing to go along with it. Jules plays taps for vets, so that's kind of cool. Thank you so much, Jules. That's awesome. Comment. Thanks so much, Mary. I appreciate all you do to keep us informed. Back to therapy I go. Yeah, tell me about it. Taco and the chaos he brings is killing me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Well, listen, we can't let it get to us too much, and I completely understand. I'm not saying it shouldn't. Of course it should. It's extraordinarily stressful. It's enraging. It's depressing. It's very, very hard, especially since there's no let up. There's just no let up. And the consequences are very far reaching. So if you guys can if you need help, it's very important to admit it, and there's nothing wrong with that. I myself am looking to get back into therapy. I believe in it wholeheartedly. So if you have the ability to get into therapy and you think that'd be useful, absolutely. Plugging into community like this, but also communities like that where you can meet in person, that's incredibly helpful. Yeah, we all need something because these are very tough times, unique times in my, I've never lived through anything like this before. That's for sure. Sorry. Invisible Pink Unicorn 762. Wow, thank you so very much. Very generous of you. Comment. My concern is that this parade is more than a parade. The regime is becoming bold with anyone who tries to challenge them in any way. Stay safe on Saturday, people. Thank you as always for your channel, Mary. Yeah, I agree with you. This is this is pretextual, as the lawyers say. It's pretense. It is to force an issue. I guess the simplest way to put it, it's a solution in search of a problem. They want to make something happen to justify their taking this to extremes, whether that's justifying violence against American civilians by military or nationalizing a state's National Guard, or worst of all, declaring martial law. We have to be well aware that that is what they are gunning for. Being Nancy Super Sticker, thank you so much, Nancy. Stacy 3107, thank you for that. Comment, thank you for the ocean emotional support moment. It actually calmed me down, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some scientific physiological reason why, but yeah, it just lowers my blood pressure, slows down my heart rate, calms down my breathing. Yeah, I should just like listen to that in the background all the time. YouTube user, comment. I really do think we will see more Democratic Congress members, judges, and governors arrested in very public ways. MAGA is launching its military coup. Yep, I agree. I agree. Now the question is, what are Democrats going to do about it? That will be interesting. Mike, comment. The minions are taunting the people and hoping we lose our cool. Fight back smart. This is great, Mary. Yeah, we need to be smart. We need to be smart, but we also need to be prepared. So I want to remind you guys again. I think it was yesterday. Forgive me, I'm not sure, but we put out a video on the channel about how to prepare and show up to prepare for and show up to these protests. Some useful phone numbers, some tactics for how to be safe, how to what to do if you get approached or detained, what to bring with you, what not to bring with you. So definitely check that out because I think you'll find it helpful. Sheila 3444. Oh, thank you so much, Sheila. Gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. That's awesome. I like that feature. And Sydney, a new member. Welcome. Awesome to have you here. Iowa Hank, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, still blew it. I'll get it. I'm going to get it. I promise. Just give me a sec. I'm still blowing it, apparently. All right. Well, let's see. Whoop. Oh, sorry. I am all over the place. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah. Not me. Not me. I never blow it. I just totally blew it. Yes, Pete Hegseth. Like, what more? What more could that senator possibly have done other than, walk over to Hegseth and whisper in his ear, just say no? I still think Hegseth would have blown it. Why? Because it would have displeased Donald. So remember, he's a deeply stupid person, but he's also beholden to Donald. So that's part of the problem. Judy, a new member. Awesome. Thank you and welcome. Neutron. Holy cow. Neutron. That's fantastic. Thank you so very much for that. Much appreciated and very generous. Okay, hold the line from my Substack writes, he also said, quote, I don't know anything about a protest, unquote, and then he threatened protesters. Yeah, exactly. He knows that people want to protest him. I think it's hard for him to admit that and wrap his head around it, but the fact that he's willing to, so willing to say explicitly that he's going to meet protests with violence, that's a tell. And by the way, he didn't say protesters who get out of hand. He didn't say protesters who themselves become violent or anything. He just said protesters. AGZ Freddy 1983. Wow, thank you so much for that. That's fantastic. Question: do you think Donald's health issues and being compromised by Putin is causing this whole issue along with Stephen Miller? Have you seen the video where Rubio has praised Russia and Putin and betrayed Ukraine? I fear things will only get worse. Things are going to get worse. Yes, he's always been compromised. He's always been deeply unhealthy, of course, but things get worse over time. Just in the context of, he has serious, untreated, undiagnosed psychiatric disorders. He's had them for a very long time. If you have something like bronchitis and you don't treat it, what happens? You get worse and worse and worse, right? That's how any untreated illness goes, generally speaking. So, yeah, I think that is part of it. I think we also, though, have to recognize who we're dealing with. Donald is a cruel, vicious, despicable person. He's not interested. It's not like he used to be a good guy and now, because of illness and stress and the people he's surrounded by, he's become worse. I mean, he has become worse, but he was always bad. So we can't let him off the hook for anything. And yes, he's surrounded by people who know better. Marco Rubio knows that Russia is our enemy. Marco Rubio knows that failing to assist Ukraine in its fight against Russia's illegal invasion is a terrible thing, not just for Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, but for America and for the future of Western democracy. But he's all in the, he's bought and paid for. So he's going to keep saying things like that. It's quite horrifying. Julia, thank you so very, very much for that. Comment, I'm in therapy fee. You skipped me. Oh, I did? I'm so sorry. But I'm glad you're in therapy. Because honestly, most of us should be. Linda, thanks so very much, Linda. Awesome. And Carol, a super sticker. Thank you for that, Carol. Excellent. Greg, thank you again. Comment, Mary, the Missouri State National Guard was just activated. Missouri. Okay, that's great. Yeah. All right, everybody in Missouri. I don't yet know why, but this is Governor Mike Kehoe just activated the National Guard in Missouri. If you are in Missouri, please stay safe. This apparently was taken by the governor as a precautionary measure, but a precautionary measure against what? I'm guessing it's Saturday. They do not want, in red states, they do not want a show of opposition because it'll make Donald look bad. That's where we are now. Wow. Pink Nightmare did five Mary Trump Media memberships. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. Nastasia, Velveeta Voldemort is now my favorite Donald name for June. It's colorful. It is colorful and inedible. Well, I mean, that's I'm sorry. I have a thing about Velveeta. Sorry. But it is. It's like Technicolor cheese. Velveeta Voldemort. Vincent gifted 1 Mary Trump Media membership. Vincent, awesome. Thank you. Oh, that was it. Wow. Sometimes I don't know it's the last one, and I'm surprised, as you can tell. All right, everybody. That was amazing. So happy to have you here. And it is Thursday. So I am traveling tomorrow, but that will not change anything except my background. Yeah. Sort of like you get to try to see if you can figure out where I am. You will not be able to, but it's, it's going to be fun. So please see me back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for Mary Trump Live. Same schedule for the weekend. We've got videos dropping tomorrow as well. We've got Trump Trolls Trump on Saturday. So please check that out. And of course, Ask Mary Anything Within Reason on Sunday. I'm back in New York Monday, where we will continue with our regular programming. So thank you to everybody watching on YouTube, streaming on Twitter, and my Substack, The Good in Us. Also for my Substack peeps, and anybody who's interested in subscribing, because it's free to subscribe. So I seriously think that these two communities need more overlap, because there's a lot of commonality, and I think you would all enjoy it over there. We stream the lives over on my Substack, but then as soon as possible after we finish, we upload a transcript to go with the video. So that's a feature a lot of people have been asking for, and as of last night, that's what's happening. Thank you also to everybody listening to the podcast. Thank you to everybody gifting or gifting memberships or getting their own membership. We so appreciate that, as well as our super stickers and people just giving us gifts. You guys help us tremendously. It really, truly, truly makes a difference for us. Thanks to our amazing moderators, and of course to my amazing team. We had some serious technical difficulties today, and they just rolled with it, and everything that needed to get done got done. And it was another crazy news day. So it's sort of like this is just having some technical difficulties thrown in just for fun. This wasn't fair. So thanks guys for rolling with it and just doing the usual phenomenal job. Much appreciated. And also thank you for the emotional support moment of the waves. All right, that's it. I will see all of you back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, everybody, please stay safe and be kind.